Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're cracking open a 500-year-old secret playbook for silent wealth. Now, this isn't your standard run-of-the-mill financial advice, not at all. We're going to look at the psychology, the strategy, and the hidden mechanics of how the truly wealthy actually operate behind the scenes. You might be wondering, well, why does a 5-century-old manuscript matter today? Simple. Human nature hasn't changed a bit. We've distilled some incredible source material into a clear roadmap for you today, so get ready to completely rethink your approach to building wealth.
But right off the bat, before we even get into the weeds of this playbook, I've got a question for you. Do you know the biggest lie in the world? Take a second to really think about what you've been told your entire life about success, about money, and about getting ahead. We've all been fed a very specific narrative since childhood, haven't we?
The lie is exactly this: that wealthy people become rich simply through hard work. Now look, don't misunderstand me. Hard work absolutely matters. You literally can't get anywhere without it. But it's just not the whole story. The truth is, the people who build lasting wealth rarely reveal the real strategies behind their success. In public, they'll happily discuss their morning routines and their productivity hacks. But the deeper structural lessons, the actual levers they pull to accumulate assets, those almost always stay completely hidden from the masses.
To uncover those hidden strategies, we're turning to a rather controversial mentor today, Niccolo Machiavelli. He was a 16th century observer of power, influence, and human behavior. Whether you personally agree with his broader philosophies or not, his razor-sharp observations from over 500 years ago still spark massive debate today. Why? Because they strip away the polite fiction of society. He looked at how the world actually works. And the source material we're exploring extracts powerful wealth lessons directly inspired by those unvarnished ideas.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. Enter the fox. Rethinking your strategy.
The first step of this blueprint is pretty straightforward. Be the fox, not the lion. Think about how most people act today, especially on social media. They act like the lion, right? Feeling this constant burning need to roar, to loudly announce every single win and flaunt every new purchase. But consider what the lion inevitably attracts: attention, obstacles, and intense jealousy. The Machiavellian few, however, they act like a fox. The fox makes quiet progress and deliberately stays underestimated. Because of that stealth, the fox remains safe. So ask yourself honestly, which animal have you been acting like?
The absolute crucial point to remember here is that quiet progress is often the safest progress. Drawing attention to yourself only invites expectations and unwanted interference from others. When you loudly broadcast every move you make, you're voluntarily giving people a target to aim at. You're practically inviting their envy and, honestly, sometimes their sabotage. But when you move quietly, without all the fanfare, you retain absolute control over your environment and your trajectory. You get to succeed without anyone trying to put their hand in your pocket.
Which brings us to a slightly more calculated phase of our explainer. Section 2. Operating in the shadows. Defensive tactics. Controlling information gives you the ultimate advantage in any environment. So let's rapid fire through 3 core defensive rules from the playbook. First, Rule 2. Stay underestimated. When people think you're just average, they completely lower their guard, giving you unseen room to grow without triggering anyone's competitive instincts. Second, Rule 3. Guard your plans. Not everyone who smiles at you wants you to succeed. The fewer people who know your next move, the harder it is for them to interfere. And third, Rule 6. Control your image. People respond exclusively to what they believe about you, so you have to be hyper-intentional about what you keep fiercely private.
This naturally leads us into Rule 7, the critical difference between looking smart and actually being smart. Looking smart is entirely an ego trip. It's just about displaying your intelligence and desperately seeking the approval of everyone in the room. Being smart, however, in the Machiavellian sense, is about using humility as a strategic tool. Sometimes acting a little less informed than you actually are opens far more doors than a flashy display of intellect. It encourages others to talk while you quietly gather information. Let your results speak entirely for themselves. Now, building those undeniable results requires a completely different approach to time. We live in a modern world that is utterly obsessed with overnight success, windfalls, and fast money. Everyone is endlessly searching for the shortcut. But Rule 5 teaches us the Machiavellian truth. Lasting, unshakable wealth is built slowly. It takes time to compound, both in capital and in knowledge. Patience isn't some passive, weak trait. It is a highly active, deliberate strategy. Those who can outweight their competitors almost always out-earn them.
All right, we've played defense and we've secured our perimeter. Now we build. Section 3, systems over status symbols, offensive tactics.
This shift in thinking, Rule 8, is an absolute game changer. I want to ask you a direct question. Are you buying a status symbol or are you building a system? A status symbol, like the luxury car or the designer watch, literally costs you money to maintain. It depreciates instantly and it exists almost entirely to impress strangers. But a system is an asset. Systems make you money. They're actively working in the background, compounding and generating value while you sleep, while you eat, and while you actually live your life.
So how do we ground this 16th century philosophy into our modern reality? Well, Rule 4 tells us that real power today is often completely invisible. First, you create invisible income streams. We're talking digital assets, investments, or businesses that don't have your face plastered all over them. Second, you build valuable, high-leverage relationships strictly behind closed doors, based on mutual value rather than public networking. And third, you actively cultivate opportunities that require zero external approval. You simply don't need a gatekeeper to say yes if you own the whole system yourself.
We are now reaching the ultimate realization of this entire playbook. Section 4, Money Talks, Wealth Whispers, the mindset shift.
The harsh truth so many people desperately need to hear today is Rule 9. Stop looking rich and start becoming rich. Seriously, so many people trap themselves in this relentless cycle of spending every single dollar they earn just to appear wealthy to a society that isn't really even paying attention. But truly wealthy people, the ones who successfully follow this blueprint, they direct all of their excess capital toward growing their assets. They simply do not care about impressing the crowd, they care exclusively about expanding their financial foundation.
Because here is the grand secret of this explainer. The ultimate goal of all this stealth, of building these quiet systems, of purposefully staying in the shadows, it isn't just to hoard a mountain of money for the sake of it. No way. At the end of the day, true wealth is not about attention. It is entirely about freedom. It's about having absolute freedom over your time, freedom over your daily choices, and total freedom from the opinions and demands of others. That is the real power this playbook offers.
Which leaves us with one final provocative question to reflect on as we wrap up today. Are you spending your precious time trying to prove yourself or improve yourself? When you finally let go of that exhausting, never-ending need to prove your worth to everyone around you, you unlock an incredible amount of energy to actually improve your life. Remember the golden rule from our source today? Money talks, but wealth whispers. The people who truly understand that difference are usually the ones who win. Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer, and I'll see you next time.